Starseed Conqueror, 10,000 times rewards, Frigate destroys stars. Episode 21. Will you speak our language? The Ether Dragon Maiden looked shocked. Looking at Qin Sheng's golden pupils, his eyes widened wide. There will be some. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly. The language of the Ether Dragons is a special kind of electromagnetic vibration, which communicates and makes sounds according to their own bioelectricity. In this way, even in a vacuum, without a media for transmission, their voices will be heard. Just now, Qin Sheng used the electromagnetics of his own armor to imitate this vibration. Fortunately, he remembered how the vibration was used. Then who are you? Where did it come from? How come I've never seen you? The Ether Dragon Maiden put down the single-edged molecular tremor sword she had just picked up in her hand, and her tone was filled with incredulity. Perhaps because of the Emperor's aura, after the Ether Dragon Maiden saw Qin Sheng, she was full of good feelings for him. You answer me a question first. Qin Sheng did not answer, but asked rhetorically, do you know where you are? Where am I? The Ether Dragon Maiden looked very confused. She lowered her eyes and thought for a moment, then said, I live here. Our family has lived under the Tenjin relic for generations, and here is the Tenjin relic. Tenjin ruins? Qin Sheng pondered slightly. He seemed to understand something. You just said that your clan has lived under the relics of the gods for generations. After some exchanges, Qin Sheng understood the general situation. According to the Ether Dragon Maiden in front of her, below this ruin, there is an underground space. There are a series of facilities such as artificial atmosphere and artificial sun in the underground space. Of course, the Ether Dragon Maiden doesn't understand that those are all man-made. There is a complete ecosystem. However, this ecosystem is not large. Thousands of years ago, the Atherosaurus race was born out of a metal container of traits. After that, he began to live in this ecosystem. They don't know they live underground on a closed planet. Instead, I thought that was the whole world. Unaware of the truth, they worship the special metal vessels that gave birth to them as gods. Lived like this for hundreds of years, until 200 years ago, men within their race suddenly began to die in large numbers. The death was so miserable that almost all the flesh and blood melted away. This filled their family with fear. At the same time, the small ecosystem has begun to collapse because it is too old. There are fewer and fewer surviving materials inside. Until now, not long ago, their clan was horrified to find that all the males of the race had died strangely. Racial women also began to die one after another like men. But there is no way out, and the few hundred remaining female ether dragons have discovered a way to reach the surface of this ruin from the underground biosphere. For the survival and continuation of their race, they decided to leave here and took the lead in sending people to conduct several expeditions. They believe that this is the relics of the gods, and they live below the ruins of the gods. Then, she met Qin Sheng. After learning all this, Qin Sheng speculated that these ether dragon people should be the products of the civilization that built this relic and secretly studied the ether dragon gene. For unknown reasons, they recovered. And the mysterious death of the ether dragon man. How Qin Sheng listened and felt. It was like a genetic collapse. After all, these Atherosaurus are the product of genetic engineering. And genetic engineering, a complex technology, it is inevitable that mistakes will occur. Thinking of this, Qin Sheng said to the Ether Dragon Maiden, we come from the outside world. I can help you. Qin Sheng didn't know how the Ether Dragon race in the past life had solved the problem of genetic collapse, but now in his place, he has a new way to solve it. That's right, Qin Sheng wanted to take the Tailong race under his command. After all, judging from the consultation in the past life, in less than 100 years, the Ether Dragon people had evolved from the level of /and-burn cultivation to the level of 5th level civilization. What a terrifying speed. The Ether Dragon race, the potential is bound to be terrifying. Really? The Ether Dragon Maiden heard the words, and the golden pupils were suddenly filled with hope. She looked at Qin Sheng with great hope. Her good feelings for Qin Sheng made her easily believe Qin Sheng's words. Can you take us to the place where you live? I need to check first. No problem. The Ether Dragon Maiden immediately walked happily to Qin Sheng's side, and then threw her hands around Qin Sheng's arm. Follow me. Dressed in amethyst nano-regenerated individual armor, Qin Sheng weighed at least 1 ton. But it was extremely easy to be dragged by the Ether Dragon Maiden. Flesh and blood alone have such terrifying power. It surprised Qin Sheng. He waved his hand at Ella and Hetty, who were trying to protect him, signaling them to be reassured and taking someone with him. Then the Enron Ether Dragon Maiden dragged her away. Go around. An hour later, Qin Sheng finally followed the Ether Dragon Maiden to a place embedded in the ground, similar to a disc, different from the ground in other places. The Ether Dragon Maiden had just pulled Qin Sheng to stand on it. A flash of light flashed by. The figures of Qin Sheng and the Etheric Dragon Maiden disappeared in an instant. Emperor, a group of young warriors were stunned and rushed forward to check it out. Nothing happened to the results. Ding dong, you have found a man-made biosphere under the ruins of the earth. Hidden mission released. Help the ether dragons leave the frozen planet. Mission reward, unknown. Qin Sheng opened his eyes again, and he heard the prompt of the system. Finally, the hidden mission was triggered by him. Before Qin Sheng could be happy, he saw the scene in front of him. This is a biosphere that has begun to die. Because of the age, the ecosphere self-circulation program has been damaged. A large number of plants withered and died. It's a gray world that can't survive anymore. In front of Qin Sheng, there was a group of ether dragon maidens whose appearance was not much different from those of the ether dragon maidens, and they didn't look very old. However, Qin Sheng knew that the etheric dragon clan had a long lifespan, would not age, and could not distinguish their age by appearance. Everyone. The gods have come to save us. Episode 22. Tenjin, is it really a god? The ether dragon people all looked at Qin Sheng, whose whole body was wrapped in amethyst nano-regenerative armor. The effect of the Emperor's aura was brought to its extreme at this moment. All the ether dragon people had infinite admiration for Qin Sheng in their hearts. It's really a god. The gods have come to save us. The ether dragon people spontaneously began to bow down to Qin Sheng. Even some of the etheric dragons, whose genes were already unstable and whose bodies were collapsing, wanted to forcibly get up and bow down to Qin Sheng. In this regard, Qin Sheng naturally stopped it one after another. Just at this moment, a burst of light flashed behind Qin Sheng. Dozens of tactical humanoid maidens dressed in armor and armed with electromagnetic rifles appeared behind Qin Sheng. Emperor, Ella and Hetty ran to Qin Sheng with worried faces. You're all right. If something happens to you, the slave can't forgive himself. Hetty's crimson eyes shone with tears. Ella was relieved to see that Qin Sheng was not in any danger. At the same time, he glanced at Hetty's gesture with some disgust. Ella, let the technical humanoid examine their bodies. Qin Sheng comforted them for a moment, and then said, for the detection of the body, the ether dragon people did not resist. All obediently accepted the detection of the gods from the outside world. Moments later, the result is obtained. After a technical humanoid girl wearing an eye-scanning device that only reveals cherry lips and a rounded and small chin is examined. Reporting to Qin Sheng, Emperor, in the genomes of 21 of them, there are signs of unstable genetic chains. Other people's gene chains are still stable, but there are also hidden dangers, and sooner or later, the same signs will appear. If after a while, the gene chain collapses, they will die. Hearing this, Qin Sheng was sure of his guess. Sure enough, the Etherosaurus race was created by human genetic interference, but apparently it was not optimized, and the civilization that started this genetic engineering disappeared or was destroyed. Only this ecosphere is still in operation. It's no longer suitable for survival. Your people have begun to have genetic instability, but I have a way to save them. Now, you must let your people go, Qin Sheng said to the ether dragon maiden. After the etheric dragon maiden received Qin Sheng's answer, she was suddenly relieved. Her people survived. At the same time, the good feelings for Qin Sheng in her heart also reached its peak. Where are we going? The ether dragon maiden asked hopefully. Come with me. Qin Sheng looked into her golden eyes and said, I don't know your name yet. A large stone that had been pressing on the girl's heart for a long time finally fell. The girl felt a burst of relief at this moment. She believed Qin Sheng. The ether dragon maiden crossed her hands at her waist and smiled. My name is Dragon Mo, and I am their patriarch. Counted the number of ether dragon maidens. There were 437 in all. 21 of them have developed genetic instability. After Qin Sheng asked Hetty to escort these ether dragon maidens out through an automatic teleportation device. I am taking the dragon foam to explore this ecological circle. This ecosystem is not large. The total circumference is less than 10 kilometers. Inside, there are automatically circulating rivers, growing trees, plants. Maybe there were animals before that. But at this moment, the rivers are dry, the trees are dead, and the animals are left with only skeletons. Soon Qin Sheng arrived at the village where the ether dragon people lived before. The village is also in ruins. There are also large graves outside the village. The crops that had barely grown in the fields were also beginning to decay at this moment. If Qin Sheng came a little later, these ether dragon people would probably not be able to survive. These ether dragons are still in the era of farming at this moment. Left the abandoned village. Under the leadership of Long Mo, Qin Sheng came to the place where the etheric dragon clan was born. Qin Sheng's guess was correct. This is an abandoned genetic engineering laboratory. Most of the equipment is obsolete. According to tests, the incubator for the birth of life was completely abandoned after the last work thousands of years ago. It is too old, and some of the information has been damaged. Even if there was no damage, with Qin Sheng's current technical strength, it would not be able to decipher it at all. For Qin Sheng's current level of science and technology, the things here were completely unable to get any valuable items. The gap in technology is like a chasm. Even if Qin Sheng used plasma to cut, he couldn't cut anything in this genetic engineering laboratory. Who built this genetic engineering lab? Who was secretly studying the genes of Etherosaurus? All this, for Qin Sheng. It's all unsolved mysteries. After making sure that he couldn't get anything else, Qin Sheng finally left with someone. The frozen planet, frozen by 1,200 kilometers of ice, is suspended in space. Rotation is taking place. The Wu Jun class pulsed heavy artillery frigate lifted off from the planet. Returned to the fleet in planetary synchronic orbit. The hidden task is complete. The ether dragon clan has been rescued. This mission information is being tested. In addition to the system reward, one of the many civilization relics on the frozen planet will be randomly selected for restoration as a reward. Qin Sheng, who heard the system prompt, inhaled a cool breath. No wonder the quest rewards are unknown. It turned out to be really unknown. Countless warships, weapons, and other items under the ice were frozen and completely abandoned. Qin Sheng could not obtain use. However, the system of the Shanghai game personally shot and randomly gave Qin Sheng a reward. This made Qin Sheng very excited. You know, those scientific and technological creations come to one at random. They are all things that far exceed the current level of Qin Sheng's science and technology. Ding dong, system task reward has been issued. Congratulations on receiving the system reward, Level 1 Civilization Building Instant Build Order X5. Congratulations on getting the Galaxy Technology Reward Chest X5. 100 times increase. Congratulations on getting the First Class Civilization Building Instant Build Order X500. The Galactic Technology Reward Chest will be multiplied by 100-fold after opening. Ding dong, the system is randomly selecting the restoration of technological creations on the remains of the frozen planet as a reward. Episode 23. After hearing the last prompt, Qin Sheng unconsciously held his breath. Although he came to this planet in order to hide the mission reward of the first-level civilization building instant construction order, but now there can be additional gains, or great gains. Why not? A minute or so passed. The sound of the system finally rang out. The rewards have been screened. Congratulations on obtaining the third-level elementary civilization electromagnetic shield module technology. 100 times increase. Congratulations on getting the level 3 medium civilization hive energy shield module technology. Qin Sheng was slightly disappointed in his heart. It wasn't the 4th level civilization level technology he thought. However, the 3rd level civilization level is also very good. It's also a very important energy shield module. With this 3rd level civilization energy shield module, Qin Sheng's fleet could basically walk sideways among the 1st and 2nd level civilizations. Hive Energy Shield Module. It can establish an energy shield to defend the entire battleship, and there is no dead angle defense in all directions of 360 degrees. Perfectly resistant to energy weapon attacks. However, the armor-piercing attack of the super-large electromagnetic acceleration gun is slightly less effective. Yes, my battleship lacks protection against energy weapons. Qin Sheng was satisfied. Let's take a look at the first-level civilization building instantaneous construction order that you have just obtained. Grade 1 civilization building instant construction order. It can make the construction of buildings equal to less than the level of civilization technology below the level of instantaneous construction. However, if the level of technology of the buildings built exceeds that of the first-level civilization, for the level of technology above the second-level civilization, every time it exceeds level 0.1, the instantaneous construction order of the consumed building will be tenfold on the original basis. The instantaneous construction order of this first-level civilized building was Qin Sheng's goal this time. With this, he can quickly upgrade to a level 9 base, then go and conquer the planet and ascend to the level of a first-class civilization. At this moment, Long Mo suddenly found Qin Sheng with some anxiety. Some of my people are dying. Long Mo was about to cry, pulling Qin Sheng's hand straight. I'll go right now. The ship's infirmary of the Wuhan Jun class pulse heavy artillery frigate. 21 ether dragon maidens lying on hospital beds are in critical condition. The part of their silver carapace-like material covering their bodies has begun to crack. There's only one way out now. Qin Sheng looked at Long Mo. What's the solution? Long Mo asked anxiously. That's to silicify your whole family. Qin Sheng said. Siliconization? What do you mean? Long Mo was a little confused. Your family's genes are inherently unstable, and the longer you go, the closer you get to death. If you base your body, then your people will not be hungry, they will not get sick, and they will not die. Qin Sheng's words made Long Mo's eyes widen in an instant. This isn't it. Become a god? Long Mo's delicate little face was shocked. She opened her small mouth, and for a while she could not speak, and finally stumbled. It can also be understood in this way. Moreover, the men of your clan all died 200 years ago. Even if the genes are stabilized by normal means, your family will not be able to reproduce, and it will eventually become extinct. But as long as your body is siliconized, then your new population can be born through mechanical assembly. So, do you agree? Qin Sheng asked. Agree. Long Mo knew that this matter was very serious, and he nodded solemnly. It was good. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly, and then let all the etheric dragon maidens gather in this ward. The ether dragon maidens were thrilled to hear that lords of the gods wanted to help them become gods. A pair of golden vertical pupils looked at Qin Sheng expectantly. After the preparations were completed, Qin Sheng called out to the tactical humanoid maidens. Activate the tactical humanoid talent, Iron Heart Assimilation. A flash of light flashed by, shrouded all the ether dragon maidens. Iron Heart assimilated, silicon-based eternal. Mechanical ascension, immortality. Join in, glorious evolution. The light faded away. The dragon foam that first appeared in front of Qin Sheng had changed its appearance. The silvery white carapace-like material that originally covered more than 70% of the body surface was changed to red high-strength dragon scale armor, and it became 100% coverage. What appeared in front of Qin Sheng was such a heroic female knight image that resembled that of a magical work. The close-fitting red dragon scale armor sets off the figure of the dragon foam to the extreme. Beautiful legs, slender, slim figure, convex, and backward. The beautiful face is also obscured by the integrated dragon scale mask. Above the face armor, the deep V-shaped windows glow scarlet. Two dragon horns extended from the armor on the forehead and shot into the sky. More than 400 red dragon scale maiden armored warriors appeared in Qin Sheng's field of vision. P.S. There is a picture in the lower right corner for reference. The next moment, the red dragon scale armor that was 100% fully covered on their bodies faded in an instant, transformed into a dragon scale that only covers part of the skin, a young girl who is full of vitality, white and soft skin, and a beautiful and delicate face. After the ether dragon maiden warrior was siliconized, it had two forms. One is the maiden normal of the dragon horn, covered with some red dragon scales, and the other is the battle form that has just been covered with red dragon scale armor. Conversion complete. To say what had happened to Long Mo's feelings about Qin Sheng, in addition to the good feelings and great admiration, that is, her heart was more loyal to Emperor Qin Sheng. Loyal, sisters. The ether dragon maiden warrior race is included in the population assembly center. The system prompts that this silicon-based assimilation has gained additional benefits. Scientific and technological research. Progress of enhanced armor for pseudo-red dragon scale battleships, 1%. Reward 100 times increase. The pseudo-red dragon scale battleship enhanced armor technology has been studied. Pseudo-red dragon scale battleship enhanced armor technology. Battleship armor made from the dragon scale structure of the ether dragon clan that can resist the Big Bang of the universe. The armor strength of the battleships of this special structure is amazing, although it was only less than 1/10 of the strength of the true etheric dragon clan dragon scales. But its intensity is still staggering. Its manufacturing methods have been incorporated into the technology tree. Episode 24. And the bonus. Qin Sheng was pleasantly surprised. Although it wasn't really the ether dragon Lin armor, it was enough to make Qin Sheng happy. Just when Qin Sheng was surprised by this unexpected gain, he received a report from the tactical humanoid responsible for monitoring and observing space in the universe. Emperor, I have detected that a large number of curvature bubbles are coming towards us. Qin Sheng heard this and quickly asked, "Can you identify yourself?" "How far is it?" "Here they are, beyond the frozen planet, in the darkness and emptiness of space. Densely packed, a glance at the past can knock countless curvature bubbles from a distance in an instant." The curvature bubble subsided, and the space battleships revealed their original shapes. Directly surround this frozen planet, including Qin Sheng's fleet. Dense green-painted space battleships in a group. Civilization of Morons, Commander-in-Chief of the First Army, flagship of Kalins. The Tree of Life Pole-class attack aircraft carrier life to perfection. Is that the Emperor's fleet? Chelens looked at the fleet of 9 battleships presented on the virtual panel in front of him. The largest of these is only more than 700 meters long, not even the size of the smallest cruiser in my fleet. Is this really the rumored Imperial fleet with the power to destroy the stars? Chelens held out a vine hand and enlarged the picture, and there was doubt in the 6 small scarlet eyes that did not match the green tree body themselves. Its ostensible identity was that of Commander-in-Chief of the fleet of the First Army of the Civilization of Morandes. However, his secret identity is that of a believer who has converted to the subspace chaos god and fears abuse. In order not to expose yourself, Kalen suppressed the urge in his heart to kill and cut off the heads of billions of lives to the evil gods. Secretly corrupt all the top brass of the First Army fleet under his control. The corrosion of chaos is amazing. In less than a month, almost all the top brass of the entire First Army fleet secretly believed in the chaos evil god. And now, Selongs felt, you don't have to hide yourself anymore. Just find the Emperor and persuade him to believe in fear of abuse. Then he will surely receive the reward he craves most. So he mobilized the full force of the First Army's fleet. More than 1,200 warships come and look for the Emperor. Driven with a curvature of twice the speed of light, it spans a distance of 946 billion kilometers. After more than half a month of sailing, the mother star of the Morandes civilization, which is not the same size and rotational speed as Earth, has 32 hours a day, and is automatically changed to Earth Standard Time for ease of understanding. Now he's finally here. However, when he arrived, Gallants was puzzled. Opposite the Emperor's fleet, unremarkable, not even as intimidating as the smallest fleet of his First Army. Such a person? Is it really what the gods he believes in need? But for the sake of the gods he believes in, Chael Lons still chose to talk to Qin Sheng. Wu and Jun class pulse heavy artillery frigate bridge. Qin Sheng looked at the picture displayed on the big screen in front of him. Battleship after green paint is densely docked in space. Apparently he had been surrounded. Fleet of the Morinda civilization. As the first local civilization force in the past life to start a war against the players, Qin Sheng was naturally very familiar with them. What do they want to do? Qin Sheng received a communication request from the other side. After a little thought, it converged on the second effect of the Emperor's aura. The second effect of the Emperor's aura was that any inhuman race would be afraid of Qin Sheng. However, Qin Sheng wanted to see what the real attitude of the other party was. It's connected. What appeared in front of Qin Sheng was Chelans, who was like a tree with 4 vine-like arms. 6 scarlet eyes looked at Qin Sheng. You are the Emperor? As soon as he opened his mouth, his tone was full of contempt and arrogance. After automatic translation, Qin Sheng understood the words on the other side, but it made him frown slightly. The tone of the man's speech to him, he didn't like it. The Ming people don't speak secretly, Emperor, and now there is a road to the top of the universe in front of you. I hope you can seize this opportunity. Kalen's 2 vine arms were behind him, and the 2 vine arms were wrapped around him, and 6 small scarlet eyes shone brightly. Oh? What opportunities? Qin Sheng raised an eyebrow. A chaos believer again? Serve my lord, you'll get a chance to reach the pinnacle of power in the universe, Kalen said with a feverish tone. Good fellow, sure enough, he's a sadistic believer again. You guys, you can't change your rhetoric? Qin Sheng had an expression that was exactly as I expected. At this time, Kalen suddenly received a message. Commander, the Mother Star has discovered our operations and has sent the 2nd and 3rd armies to chase us. Oh, Kalens was suddenly excited. He had stopped pretending and had openly defected. All along, in order to disguise his identity as a believer in abuse, he used amazing willpower to resist his desire to kill. Now, finally, there is no need to disguise. The Emperor could be persuaded at any time, and he thought that even if the Emperor did not join them, it would be time for him to kill the Emperor. The faint sense of killing that brought him would not please him either. Now he can't wait for a slaughter that will spread across the planet. First please the abuse, then please himself. He immediately ordered the fleet to go back. Slaughter the entire Mother Star of your own civilization. That's what sadistic believers are. But here, the call with Qin Sheng was not yet closed. When Qin Sheng heard it, they wanted to run, no longer converging on the second effect of the Emperor's aura. Just kidding, still want to run. Kill you all. How many chaos destruction vouchers can he get rewarded? Can't let go. At this moment, Chelong's expression suddenly changed. Although his tree face could not make any obvious expression, but it can still be seen that there is a sudden increase in fear in his heart. In Kalens's eyes, Qin Sheng instantly became fearful. It seemed that at this moment, Qin Sheng had already incarnated into a god. How come? How come? Obviously, the other side only had 9 warships. It is the commander-in-chief of the army group fleet with 1,200 warships. Why does it suddenly feel scared? I don't like the tone of what you just said, so I don't think all of your 1,200 warships want to leave. You are already surrounded by my 9 warships. Destroy me in the darkness of space. Qin Sheng directly consumed the technical value and installed the newly acquired 3rd-level civilization energy shield module system on the battleship. Episode 25. Do you consume 100,000 technical points to install the 3rd-level civilization energy shield system module on the Qinhuang-class offensive cruiser? Yes. 100,000 technical values are directly consumed. The Qinhuang-class Stormtrooper defense system module has directly changed. On the surface of the pitch-black battleship, an imperceptible streamer of light streaked through. The energy shield system module is installed. How arrogant. When Keelan's faced Qin Sheng's Emperor aura, his fear of not knowing where it came from was extreme. Subsequently, this fear of facing the Emperor was coupled with the tyranny that burned in his heart all the time. Turn into the ultimate anger. The endless fury almost burned Kalen's body to the ground, and this state of rage also made his body change directly. The body of the original plant-like tree was directly twisted. Poof, click. The sound of the body breaking sounded, under the distortion of this furious spiritual power. Kalen's body was deformed, and behind him were 2 green fleshy wings that did not belong to his plant body at all. This is the power of the evil gods. The distortion from the evil gods caused creatures that belong to the plant class to grow flesh and blood. Destroy him for me. I'm going to cut off his head myself. Kalen's 6 scarlet eyes emitted blood chi visible to the naked eye, and a large mouth of blood basin was born above the twisted trunk body, and fangs flashed. At the sound of an order, the number was as high as 1,200, almost occupying the entire Qin Sheng's field of vision, and the dense space battleships were ready to attack. Above the decks of green space battleships, dense and numerous missile silo covers opened. Along with the flames of the missile propulsion department, a total of more than 100,000 missiles took off. In space, it is like a fast-moving comet. The muzzle of a thick-bore electromagnetic heavy artillery was flashing with electromagnetic light. The bow of the battlecruiser, with a length of more than 2 kilometers, heavy rail guns are ready to fire. The saturated firepower of these 1,200 warships is enough to completely bombard the surface of an entire planet. And their enemies? There were only 9 battleships. warships. The distance between the two sides is also less than 500,000 kilometers. The first attack to arrive was hundreds of blue energy lasers. Kalins admired the blue laser swarm that was almost all over space, rushing forward. In its opinion, the other side's 9 warships will be destroyed in an instant. The laser energy of the light-speed attack is instantaneously spanning a distance of 500,000 kilometers. Their targets were all the Qin Sheng-class attack cruisers in the forefront. It's over. Kalin smiled and closed his 6 scarlet eyes, ready to feel the peace that came from his heart. However, his heart was not only not calm, but more and more uneasy. Suddenly, there was an exclamation from the subordinates around him. What's wrong? Kalins was shocked. Commander-in-Chief, 17th Squadron, 2 frigates, 1 destroyer have been destroyed. What? Kalins's anger rose again, and one of his thick and vine hands grabbed the subordinate's head and asked angrily, what's going on? Could it be that it is the wrong injury of one's own people? Indeed. It was my own people who hit it. But not a mistake. The subordinate swallowed a mouthful of blood that grew above Chellins's body, and then called up the picture to Chellins, only to see that above the picture, the dense energy rays were blocked by a honeycomb-like purple energy barrier that appeared out of thin air the moment before hitting the opposing battleship. Not only that, but even this energy barrier deflected these rays to the side. Since the fleets of the Moran civilization were all on all sides, these rays directly hit their own warships. Damn. Energy shield, how is this possible? Kalins roared in shock. This kind of technology, even their Moran civilization, has not been studied. Tightly placed in the research room as a long-term research project to eat ash. How could they possibly have energy shield technology? Whether or not Kalins believed it or not, that was the case. Their laser weapons could not do any damage to Qin Sheng's Qin Sheng-class offensive cruiser equipped with energy shields. Instead, they will be deflected and diverted, causing damage to their own fleet. Stop using energy weapons. Switch to live ammunition. In anger, Kalins issued the order. It was at this time that Kalins heard a nervous report from his subordinates. Commander. High energy response detected. The target seems to be our flanking fleet. They're going to attack our flank fleet? Chellinston laughed. Huh. I understood. After all, they still knew that they were outnumbered and wanted to tear open the encirclement of our flanks and break through. Don't let them succeed. Flank fleet released scattered dust to resist the attack of the other side's laser weapons. Soon, hundreds of warships of the Moran civilization on the flanks began to release a patch of dust. This particular dust is made up of countless millimeter-sized particles. Any laser weapon passing through this cloud of dust will be greatly attenuated in power. It was as if hundreds of warships had released smoke bombs. This is a very effective means of defending against laser weapons. However, the energy weapon of Qin Sheng's fleet was not a laser. It is a high-energy scorching plasma with a minimum temperature of hundreds of millions. 8 purple plasma rays easily penetrated the dust clouds released by these hundreds of warships. One of the plasma rays instantly melted the 2-meter-thick high-strength titanium armor plate of a 1.2-kilometer-long heavy cruiser, run through 16 battleships in the same horizontal line from the rear of the battleship. However, the plasma rays did not disappear, but lasted for a long time, like an incomparably narrow plasma sword, and began to sweep. 8 plasma swords hundreds of thousands of kilometers long swept through wantonly. One after another, the battleships of the Moran civilization were cut in two, and then the martyrdom occurred. Under the sweep of the plasma beam, it actually wiped out these hundreds of warships. Ding dong, you destroyed the Morandes civilization. The cruiser that terrorized the believers got the Chaos Destruction Voucher X10, and got the technical value X100. Ding dong, you destroyed the Morandes civilization. The destroyer of the fearful believers got the Chaos Destruction Voucher X1, and gained the technical value X20. Ding dong, you destroyed the Morandes civilization. A battlecruiser that feared the believers obtained the Chaos Destruction Voucher X100, and gained the technical value X200. Episode 26. Ding dong, you destroyed the Morandes civilization. The Tree of Life Pole-class attack aircraft carrier that feared the believers. Get Chaos Destruction Voucher X100 and get technical value X1000. You get a total of X18600 technical points. Chaos Destroy Credential X1460. You can't get new technology from a chaotically polluted fleet. 100 times increase. You get a total of technical value X1860000. Chaos Destruction Credential X146000. There is no new technology, only technical values and chaos destruction certificates. Qin Sheng frowned. It was okay. His primary concern was the chaos destruction credentials. In the future, I can go to the Holy Sea of Judgment in exchange for a large number of good things. Kalin stared blankly at the picture that appeared on the screen in front of him. It was an explosion in the pitch-black space of the universe, contained in a cloud of large particles of dust. The scene is spectacular. The explosions of hundreds of warships are shocking. Total. Commander, 6th, 7th, 8th. 3 fleets, 330 or so warships, all destroyed. This includes a Tree of Life class attack carrier. Hearing his stumbling report, Chelong's angry eyes stared dead at the screen in front of him, without speaking. Their live-fire attack speed is definitely slower than that of laser weapons. Only now have they reached around the other side's 9 battleships. Energy weapons cannot be broken, and Sealance can only pin his hopes on live weapon attacks. Densely packed, hundreds of thousands of missiles dragged their tail flames, moving in the middle of the universe with a tricky irregular movement, close to Qin Sheng's fleet. The distance is already less than 100,000 kilometers. However, the trajectory of these missiles was prejudged by Qin Sheng's fleet. There are too many of these missiles, and the pulse-heavy artillery defense mode is activated. Qin Sheng immediately gave the order. The air defense platform of Qin Sheng fleet is the Comet Storm missile platform. However, the number of missiles attacking on the opposite side is too large, and although the Comet Storm missile can effectively prevent air defense, it is still small in comparison. Under Qin Sheng's orders, the pulsed main gun of the Wuhan-Jun class pulse-heavy gun frigate changed its mode. Above the virtual panel in front of you, the dense missile signal is locked. Purple plasma beams of light are emitted in an instant. Start shooting around in space. The countless missiles simply could not get close to Qin Sheng's fleet. It was swept away by the plasma rays attacked at the speed of light. Endless explosions flashed in space, one after another. The fleet of the Moran civilization also fired a large number of electromagnetic artillery shells. However, the distance between the two sides was more than 500,000 kilometers, and when this direct-firing weapon that could not change the trajectory arrived, Qin Sheng's fleet was no longer in its original place. Although there are still some rapid electromagnetic gun shells that carry out area saturation shooting, they are full of large tubes. It hit Qin Sheng's 4 Wuhan-Jun class pulsed heavy artillery frigates. Seeing that his own artillery fire had finally hit, Kalens was ecstatic, and he found a breakthrough. Those slightly smaller frigates, no energy shield protection. The next moment, however, was under the stunned gaze of Kalens. The armor of the 4 slightly damaged Wuhan-Jun class pulsed heavy gun frigates began to repair automatically. Self-healing feature of Amethyst nano-regenerative armor restores the battleship's armor value of 2,000 per second. A few seconds later, the 4 battleships were intact, still full of blood. Damn it. In a fit of rage, Kalens directly grabbed one of his subordinates. Then the blood basin above the body took a big bite. Green blood spilled, soaked around a piece of the operating table. Damn. Damn it. Damn it. Kalens threw out the headless corpses under his command, and in a fit of rage, he couldn't care less about it anymore and gave an order. Assault. Give me a direct assault on their fleet. Shoot in. When the time comes, the missiles, the shells, all shoot me out. I don't believe they can still defend themselves when the distance is close. And the biggest battleship with the energy shield, don't destroy it. After getting closer, give me the landing craft directly and force it into the other side's fleet. Only by cutting off the other person's head with your own hands can you calm my anger. Kalens desperately gave this order. The air of tyranny filled the entire fleet. The remaining 900 or so warships activated their assault engines. Prepare to cross these distances of 500,000 kilometers that are insignificant for their speed. For Qin Sheng, the other side's fleet did not use any tactics of this brainless pig protrusion, which was considered to be what he liked. This style of work is quite poignant. I only want to kill in the simplest way, to cut off enough heads. As for the casualties on their side, casualty? What's that thing? Already on the head, the abusive believers, who are dominated by tyranny, say they don't know what the casualties are. Although the distance between the two sides is only 500,000 kilometers. However, this 500,000 kilometers of area is like a death sentence. Qin Sheng's fleet, electromagnetic heavy artillery, Comet Storm missiles, plasma pulse heavy artillery opened fire wantonly. 8 Wuhan-Jun class pulsed heavy artillery frigates used the Qinhuang class offensive cruisers with energy shields as cover. Start the full output. The energy shield of the Qin King class storm cruiser was basically completely subjected to the other side's wild bombardment. The opponent's goal is to crush the energy shield. For a moment, the energy shield value of the Qin King class storm cruiser began to drop wildly. 100. 99.999. 99.998. 99.997, 98.999. They actually lost 1% of the energy shield value. The next moment, the energy shield replenishes itself. 99. 100. It's back again. The strength of the third-level civilization's scientific and technological creations. For the first-level civilization, the Gap Gully is like a god. The opposing battleship is like a paper paste. One ship after another was destroyed in space, turned into metal wreckage floating in space. The Wuhan-Jun class pulsed heavy artillery frigate has no energy shield, but its amethyst nano-regenerated armor strength can be fully immune to electromagnetic heavy artillery attacks below 450 mm caliber. The electromagnetic gun above 450mm caliber is also a heavy gun even for spaceships. The frigates and destroyers, which account for the vast majority of the fleet, are not equipped with electromagnetic heavy guns of more than 450mm caliber. Only a small number of cruisers and battlecruisers were equipped. However, these electromagnetic heavy guns even hit the armor of the Wuhan-Jun-class pulse heavy artillery frigate. The damage caused is also not enough to completely destroy the armor structure. On the contrary, after a few seconds, or even a dozen seconds, it was completely restored. Episode 27. Kalins, who was already fully on the top, paid no attention to the casualties of the various fleets reported by his subordinates. In his eyes, there was only the distance between himself and Qin Sheng. And now, he was pleasantly surprised to find that he was already 5,000 kilometers away from Qin Sheng's fleet. In space, the distance of 5,000 kilometers is undoubtedly face to face. Ha 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 ha. Order the entire fleet to release landing craft and warplanes. I'm going to personally break through into the other side's battleship, then cut off the Emperor's head. Kalen's 6 scarlet eyes glowed red. Flagship, the Life Perfector is unleashing heavy landing craft and breakthrough fighters. He immediately reported, huh? Why did only the flagship Life Elite unleash heavy landing craft and warplanes? What about the other aircraft carriers? Kalins realized something was wrong. The rest of the carriers in our fleet have all been sunk. What? Kalin stared in disbelief at 6 crimson eyes. The probe screen moves backwards, only to see the space zone behind 500,000 kilometers long. Every few kilometers, a piece of metal wreckage of a battleship floats around. You can even see that there are still traces of melting on the metal debris that have not yet completely cooled down. More than 900 warships. After a short period of surprise, there was only 1 aircraft carrier and 6 more fortunate and smaller frigates around the aircraft carrier. What? Sealants couldn't believe it at all. With the speed of their assault, it took less than half a minute to cross the distance of 500,000 kilometers. In half a minute, more than 900 warships, only a few of them are left, no matter how much. Give me a surprise. As long as I can take down the Emperor, my lord will reward me, and so on. What are these battleships? Loss is loss. After Charlins had figured it out, he continued to order the attack. However, he had no chance. Qin Sheng's Qin Huang class offensive cruisers ultra-electromagnetic acceleration orbital siege heavy artillery is ready, although the caliber of this heavy gun is only 600 millimeters, but its maximum attack speed is to accelerate a hard, high-strength alloy shell to 5,000ths of the speed of light. The kinetic energy carried is a very scary data. There, Kalins was also ordering the release of the heavy landing craft of his flagship Tree of Life class attack carrier, the Life to Perfect. The next moment, a speeding shell hit the large battleship 5.1 kilometers long, 1.9 kilometers wide and 700 meters high, all the way from the bow of the aircraft carrier, directly through to the rear of the engine. The armor plate above the aircraft carrier is more than 10 meters thick, like a paper paste. The shells didn't just run all the way through, their terrifying speed and the friction of the air inside the battleship in an instant created a high temperature, making anyone close to the shell's path. All in an instant, vaporization, rumble. 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 This 5-kilometer-long giant battleship was everywhere from start to finish, accompanied by a huge, silent, and brilliant explosion. The entire battleship is separated and disintegrated in space, and Kalins, as early as the moment the electromagnetic shell penetrated, was directly vaporized by the terrible high temperature generated by the friction gas generated by the shell inside the battleship. Phew, it's really dangerous. Qin Sheng exhaled. As the distance between the other side is getting closer and closer, the fire density of the other side is also getting higher and higher. But fortunately, most of the attacks were blocked by the energy shield of the Qin King class attack cruiser. There was not much threat to the Wuhan-Jun class pulsed heavy gun frigates without energy shields, and Qin Sheng himself was not on top of the Qin King class storm cruiser, but on top of a Wuhan-Jun class. The other party did not find this, but believed that Qin Sheng himself was above the largest Qin King level. Attention was drawn to the Qin King level with energy shields. Otherwise, a Wuhan-Jun class frigate relies solely on amethyst nano-regenerated armor. It was impossible to withstand the opposite fleet cluster. At least 200 cruisers equipped with 450mm caliber electromagnetic heavy guns, 100 battlecruisers with larger electromagnetic heavy guns attacked by the concentrated fire. Wuhan-Jun level amethyst nano-regenerative armor. The recovery speed of 2000 armor values per second is still too slow. Qin Sheng had a secret path in his heart. After returning to the base, the 3rd level energy shield had to be immediately installed on the Wuhan-Jun class pulsed heavy gun frigate. Okay, now let me see how many technical points and chaos destruction credentials I've gained. Qin Sheng began to happily check his reward. Just now, he didn't pay attention to the system prompts. Ding dong, you destroy the Morandez civilization frigate X-400 together. and get the Chaos Destruction Voucher 200, with a technical value of 4,000. Destroyer X400, get Chaos Destruction Voucher 400, technical value 8,000. Cruiser X200, get Chaos Destruction Voucher 2,000, technical value 20,000. Battlecruiser X100, get 10,000 Chaos Destruction Vouchers, and 20,000 technical values. Tree of Life Pole Class Attack Carrier X10, get Chaos Destruction Voucher 1,000, technical value 10,000. Get a total of Chaos Destruction Vouchers, 13,600. Total technical points, 62,000. Get the technology module this time. None. The technology module cannot be obtained after being destroyed by a chaos-contaminated battleship. 100 times increase. Get the Chaos Destruction Voucher, 136,000. Get technical points, 6.2 million. What a harvest. Great harvest. Qin Sheng was very happy. Coupled with the first wave, this time in battle, he obtained a total of 1.5 million and 60,000 Chaos Destruction certificates, and the technical value was 8.06 million. With so many technical points, after he upgraded to a first-level civilization, that tech tree must be a point flying. Coupled with the instantaneous building order of the previous level civilization, maybe it can directly upgrade the second-level civilization in seconds. It's not impossible. Okay, now I'm ready to go back. Go back and upgrade a wave of equipment. Build new warships, form new fleets. Then, go to the home planet of the Morinda civilization. That planet I remember green mountains and green waters. The scenery is very good, suitable as a planet for me to promote to the first level of civilization. Qin Sheng had great ambitions. Among the players in the whole universe, the first to be promoted to a first-level civilization, this achievement, he wants. Episode 28. Andilia missed Qin Sheng very much. She hadn't seen Qin Sheng for more than 2 months. Although these 2 months are too short for the almost unlimited life of the tactical human form, however, the days of not seeing Qin Sheng every day were very difficult. It still made Avrilia feel empty inside. Every day, she would stand outside the base and look out at the space of the universe. Limited by technical limitations, no means of communication at this stage can break through the speed of light. Therefore, even if Avrilia wanted to communicate with Qin Sheng, there was also a delay of almost a month. Under this delay, you can only send a message similar to a text message to communicate. And today's Avrilia, the mood is happy, because she received a message from Qin Sheng. He's coming back. According to the distance between the two sides and the speed of Qin Sheng's fleet. After receiving the message, Andilia meant that Qin Sheng's fleet was not far from the base. Really, large clusters of curvature bubbles instantly galloped from the distant deep space of the universe. The curvature bubble stops and subsides, revealing the space battleship inside. When it set out, it was 9 battleships, and when we came back, it was still 9, not less than 1. And it seems that there is no danger. The Qin King class attacked the bridge of the cruiser. Qin Sheng looked at the glass meteorite with a diameter of nearly 3 kilometers and breathed a sigh of relief. Finally back. The fastest speed of his fleet was only 92% the speed of light. Still slow. However, the speed issue will be solved soon. He has earned a lot of skill points, as long as he raises the civilization level to more than 1 level in seconds. Then you can use these large numbers of technical values to go all out for research and development and upgrade the technology tree. The battleship sailed into the spaceport. Qin Sheng sighed. At this moment, the base was very much different from before he set off. The original first-class base occupies only a small part of the meteorite surface. Not many buildings either. Now, there are more large spaceports and large mines that mine deep underground to mine minerals. Various factories were also established. There are also large residential areas. If the first-level base is like a simple shanty town, then the 4th-level base is really like a city. At the port, Andilia took Neil and the tactical humanoid form, where St. Heli elite maidens lined up to welcome Qin Sheng back. The hatch of the Qin Wang-class storm cruiser, which is more than 700 meters long, is opened. Dressed in amethyst nano-regenerative armor, Qin Sheng took the lead and walked down. Emperor! A touch of excitement appeared in Andilia's heart. However, this excitement turned into vigilance when she saw the dragon foam that followed behind Qin Sheng. Well, in less than 3 months, how could there be so many more women around the Emperor that she didn't know? Her opponents have increased. My Emperor, this is our new home from now on? Long Mo followed behind Qin Sheng, curiously looking at the base that had grown and developed. Yes, you will live here from now on. Qin Sheng nodded. Okay. Long Mo and a group of etheric dragon maidens happily surrounded Qin Sheng. Long Mo even reached out and hugged him directly in the innermost part. Avelia's heart suddenly felt a little more jealous, stepped forward, separated all the ether dragon maidens, and then stood in front of Qin Sheng. He took his hand. Emperor, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you so much. Behind her, a group of tactical humanoid maidens suddenly chirped excitedly. Sister Andilia has attacked. Sister Andilia, we support you. A group of tactical humanoid humanoid maidens sided with Itra. At this time Ella and Hetty, who had just stepped out of the battleship, saw this scene and walked forward without hesitation, trying to get closer to Qin Sheng than the others. And Qin Sheng was surrounded by this group of warblers and swallows, and he was a little overwhelmed. It can only be a cough, pretend cough twice. Then I went on business. Andilia, how is the base developing? Qin Sheng asked. Emperor, at present, the base has been upgraded to level 4. And all kinds of buildings have also been upgraded to level 4. A new blueprint for destroyer manufacturing has also been unlocked from the established R&D route of the Central Research Office. 10 new metal smelting plants and 10 crystal synthesis plants have been established. 10 heavy water electrolysis plants. Now the base can produce 600,000 tons of metal, 60,000 tons of purple crystals, and 6,000 tons of heavy hydrogen per day. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly. This is a normal yield. The higher the level of the player base, the faster the player will develop in the future. Now the Star Sea game has been going on for almost 3 months. I believe that some players who are developing faster have also been upgraded to the 4th level base. Thinking of this, Qin Sheng first found a living area for the Ether Dragon Maiden to settle down, then came to the central research room. First, upgrade your base. The base is currently being upgraded. 4 Leaders 5. Qin Sheng directly used a first-class civilization building instant construction order. Ding dong, base upgrade complete. Current base level, level 5. Unlocked, base close defense system, regional defense command center, carrier aircraft production line. Qin Sheng checked the current remaining resources. Before Qin Sheng left, there were still more than 90 million metal resources left in the base, more than 9 million crystals left, and more than 900,000 heavy hydrogen remaining. And now, because of the upgrade of the base, and a variety of factory equipment is fully established, there are many resource outputs every day. So now, the resources are not only not less, but also increase a lot. Metal resources have exceeded 100 million. There are currently 104 million metals left. There are 10.4 million crystals left. There are still 1.04 million heavy hydrogens. Are all proportional resources. Qin Sheng took a deep breath and continued to upgrade the base. Base upgrade. Does it consume the first level civilization building instantaneous construction order? Yes. 4 million tons of metal resources, 400,000 tons of crystal resources, and 40,000 tons of heavy hydrogen resources have been consumed. Base upgraded to level 6. The cruiser production line has been unlocked. The blueprint for the production of cruisers has been unlocked from the system's free technology tree. CAS-066 Class Universal Cruiser, KCCPV 2.0 Light Attack Cruiser and Submodel Aircraft-Based Cruiser Blueprint. Do you consume 8 million metal resources, 800,000 crystal resources, and 80,000 heavy hydrogen resources, and upgrade the base to level 7? Upgrade completed and the battlecruiser production line has been unlocked. Have you consumed 16 million resources, 1.6 million crystal resources, and 160,000 heavy hydrogen resources, and upgraded the base to level 8? The upgrade is complete and the aircraft carrier production line has been unlocked. Do you consume 32 million metal resources, 3.2 million crystal resources, and 320,000 heavy hydrogen resources, and upgrade the base to level 9? Upgrade complete. Unlock the Planet Colony Project Colony Ship Production Line. The base level is full. Please find the right planetary location to colonize and upgrade to a first-level civilization. Episode 29. Finally unlock the planetary colony engineering ship. Qin Sheng shook his fist and was very excited in his heart. It is a giant ship. Once you have such a giant ship, you can pack up the entire base and take it away, then fly to a planet and colonize it. From then on, that planet was Qin Sheng's home planet. Although it is called the home planet, it is for Qin Sheng and most players from Earth. The Earth is their home planet. However, what most players don't know is that when the Star Sea game began, the Earth had been destroyed. Qin Sheng and countless other players in their previous lives had also crossed the galaxy to find the Earth again. However, after finally finding it, it was found that the Earth had turned into a space meteorite belt. Players have established the Space City graveyard at the site of Earth's wreckage. Perhaps at that time, the players who deceive and fight each other will put aside the dispute. Send a fleet to guard the ruins of the Earth's wreckage. This upgrade consumes a total of 60 million tons of metal, 6 million tons of crystal resources, and 600,000 tons of heavy hydrogen resources. Qin Sheng's resource inventory fell sharply. In addition, it also consumed 5 first-level civilization building instant construction orders. But these consumptions were insignificant to Qin Sheng. Well worth it. However, now it is directly upgraded to the 9th level base in seconds. The various buildings inside Qin Sheng's base have not yet been built and related upgrades. But there is no rush. As long as there is the right planet to colonize, there will be a lot of time to upgrade. The most important thing for Qin Sheng now was to attack a planet as soon as possible. And Qin Sheng felt that the mother star of the Morandez civilization was very good. Exactly. Luckily, he remembered the approximate location of the home star of the Morandez civilization. Now, Qin Sheng was ready to expand and transform his battleship, and the battleship blueprints of some of the new cruisers have emerged. Qin Sheng was not ready to take care of it now. The most important thing for him now was to first apply the energy shield system directly to all existing warships. After the base upgrade is complete, Qin Sheng said to Andilia, start to preside over the research of the research room of the center. First apply the energy shield technology to the Wuhan class pulse heavy gun frigate. Yes, Emperor. Andilia nodded slightly, and then in her eyes, the blue data stream flashed. Her consciousness was already connected to the central research room. Avelia's computing power level is now quantum excellence. Several levels of computing power: normal, good, quantum, superior, quantum, Turing, quantum, galaxy, cosmic ultimate. Avrelia is currently in her 5th tier. The higher you go, the harder it is to increase the computational force level. Above the quantum excellence level, more than just experience is required. There must also be a lot of related technology, and a lot of technical value to upgrade. The quantum excellence level is a computing level commonly used by the 3rd level civilization. First, the 2nd level of civilization is still commonly used from the good level to the excellent level. That is to say, with Andilia alone, Qin Sheng had the computing power of the 3rd level civilization level. That's enough to calculate the data in a planetary system. There is Avelia, conducting research to host. Qin Sheng was very relieved. The application of the 3-level energy shield technology to the Wuhan class pulsed heavy gun frigate is being studied. The consumed technology is worth 100,000. In 10 hours, the study will be complete. At this point, the 10 hours were still, because Afria's computing power was strong enough. Otherwise, if the computing power is not enough, it is possible to study for a year or even several years. But Qin Sheng was not ready to wait 10 hours. Consume technical values and conduct instantaneous research. 500,000 technical values have been consumed. Research complete. The blueprint of the Wuhan class pulse heavy artillery frigate has been updated. New energy shield system. The existing Wuhan class pulsed heavy gun frigates are being automatically updated to install an energy shield system. Energy shield system, energy armor value, 100 million. Now Qin Sheng had the command ability of 360 warships, regardless of the type of battleship. In addition to the 10 existing warships, Qin Sheng could build another 350 warships. And now, Qin Sheng was ready to study new cruisers, battlecruisers, and aircraft carriers. How can there be no large ship species? Star Sea Games, blueprints given away by the system, need to be studied. There are 3 types of cruisers: CAS-066 class universal cruiser, KCCPV 2.0 light attack cruiser, extremely subtype aircraft-based cruiser. There is only one type of battlecruiser: ST-59 class defensive battlecruiser, CSA-066 class universal cruiser. Type, cruiser/armor. Armor, titanium alloy universal armor plate. Armor thickness, 2000 mm. Body length, 1010 m. Weight, 718,800 tons. Ship armor value, 61850. Weapon system, ST-8-10 8-packed torpedo. For SG-1120B 120 mm rapid proximity electromagnetic guns. 2 Thunder Fire, twin 550 mm ship attack electromagnetic guns. Firepower against ships, 11588. Anti-aircraft firepower, 1440. Siege firepower, 3922. Energy system, RT-450 integrated energy conversion system. Conventional powertrain, EN-300 universal vector engine. Curvature engine, none. Manufacturing demand, metal 621,300 tons. Purple crystals 73,400 tons. Heavy hydrogen 24,100 tons. Look at the battleship after getting used to a 100-fold increase, and then look at this, you feel so inferior. Qin Sheng couldn't help but sigh. The capabilities of this cruiser are more balanced. There are both ship firepower, anti-air fire, and siege fire, suitable for use as a universal ship. Now Qin Sheng was first preparing to strengthen this battleship. Episode 30, 100 times increase. CAS-066 class universal cruiser has been amplified and enhanced. Detected that you have a new type of armor technology, pseudo-red dragon scale battleship enhanced armor technology. Is it added to the new universal cruiser? Is the new 3-level energy shield technology installed to the new universal cruiser? The system's prompt sounded, and Qin Sheng nodded, yes. Equipment completed. The data of the new universal cruiser are as follows. Name, unnamed new universal cruiser. Type, cruiser/armor enhancement. Inner armor, high-grade titanium crystal-plated armor plate. Outer armor, pseudo-red dragon scale battleship enhanced armor plate. Energy armor, 3-level energy shield system. Inner armor thickness, 2000 mm. Outer armor thickness, 1500 mm. Body length, 2100 m. Weight, 1,718,800 tons. Ship armor value, 12.37 million. Ship energy shield value, 100 million. Weapon system, miles of ashes, Type 8 mounted ship type fusion hydrogen bomb torpedo. 12 Thor type 240mm fast proximity electromagnetic guns. 2 Burning God class twin 600mm anti-ship special attack through the city electromagnetic guns. Firepower against ships, 115-8800. Anti-aircraft fire, 144,000. Siege firepower, 392,200. Energy system, fusion curvature energy supply system. Conventional powertrain, EN 30,000 type fast vector engine system. Curvature engine, elementary curvature engine. Manufacturing demand, metal 112,1300 tons. Purple crystals 93,400 tons. Heavy hydrogen 54,100 tons. Good. From now on you will be the universal cruiser of my fleet. Qin Sheng nodded with great satisfaction. Gotta get a new name. Qin Sheng was ready to continue his tradition. Named, Han King. Hanwhan class Universal Cruiser. From now on, the Hanwhan class Universal Cruiser was the main ship in Qin Sheng's fleet. After doing this, Qin Sheng turned his eyes to the blueprints of other warships, battlecruisers and aircraft carriers. Blueprints that are gifted by the system. ST-59 class battlecruiser and CV-3000 fast aircraft carrier. To tell the truth, the aircraft carrier is something that Qin Sheng actually doesn't need much. After thinking, Qin Sheng looked at Andilia. Can the blueprint of this aircraft carrier be modified according to our existing technology? Can the battleship production and maintenance plant on the base be installed directly on the aircraft carrier? Andilia tilted her head, and a stream of data flashed in her eyes. After a quick calculation, Andilia said, yes, but it requires a lot of technical value. Haha. Technical value, this thing I have is. Despite the research, Qin Sheng laughed twice. As long as it can be solved with technical values, it is not a problem. Obey orders. After receiving the order, Avrilia's side immediately began to preside over the transformation of the aircraft carrier blueprint. After the successful transformation, Qin Sheng could strengthen it 100-fold. Now, Qin Sheng's eyes turned to the blueprint of the ST-59 class battlecruiser. What Qin Sheng lacked now was a large ship like this. Name, ST-59 class defensive battlecruiser. Type, battlecruiser. Armor, titanium composite armor plate. Armor thickness, 5,000 mm. Body length, 1,500 m. Self-weight, 1,977,200 tons. Armor value, 121350. Weapon system, twin-mounted bow assault railgun. Large artillery platform, 3 Thunderfire, twin 580 mm heavy electromagnetic guns. For SG-1120B 120 mm fast proximity electromagnetic guns. Firepower against ships, 19,200. Anti-aircraft firepower, 1440. Siege firepower, 4560. Energy system, RT-660 integrated energy conversion system. Powertrain, EN 600 universal vector engine. Curvature engine, none. Manufacturing demand, 1,481,300 tons of metal. Purple crystals, 333,750 tons. Heavy hydrogen, 158,400 tons. 100 times increase. The increase is complete. Pseudo-Red Dragon scale battleship enhanced armor technology has been installed. The 3-level energy shield system has been installed. The data for the new battlecruisers is as follows. Name, unnamed. Type, battlecruiser. Inner armor, high-grade titanium alloy crystal-plated composite armor plate. Outer armor, Pseudo-Red Dragon scale battleship enhanced armor plate. Energy armor, 3-level energy shield technology. Inner armor thickness, 5,000 mm. Outer armor thickness, 3,000 mm. Body length, 4,700 m. Weight, 5,931,600 tons. Inner armor value, 1,213,500. Outer armor value, 20 million. Energy shield value, 300 million. Weapon system, 2,000 mm Dragon scale bow electromagnetic accelerated orbiting starburst. Giant artillery platform, 8 Burning God class 1,200 mm heavy electromagnetic acceleration guns. 24 Thor type 240 mm fast proximity electromagnetic guns. Firepower against ships, 1.92 million. Anti-aircraft firepower, 288,000. Siege firepower, 456,000. Energy system, fusion curvature energy supply energy conversion system. Powertrain, EN 60,000 universal vector engine. Curvature engine, elementary curvature engine. Manufacturing demand, metal, 4.2 million tons. Purple crystal 1.1 million tons. Heavy hydrogen energy, 631,600 tons. Special ability. The BAO 2000 mm electromagnetic acceleration railgun can use a special dragon scale drilling shell. Dragon scale shells are made using pseudo-red dragon scale armor technology. Extremely hard to attack the planet directly. That's decent. Qin Sheng nodded with satisfaction. What satisfied Qin Sheng the most was the star cannon on the bow of the ship. Dragon scale drill cannonball, able to drill directly into the crust of the planet. This is a real star destroyer, and the newly strengthened battlecruiser is called Hongwu Emperor class defensive battlecruiser. Wuda full of energy. You can attack the planet directly. Qin Sheng's warships had their own naming system. Frigates and destroyers are named after June. The cruiser is named after the king. Above the battlecruiser, it is named after Emperor.